Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Burnt Pancakes podcast, the podcast where we're taking the messiness of motherhood and turning it into a conversation. I'm your host, Katie Fensky, and I'm reminding moms that everyone burns their first pancake. Today, I have an incredible guest named Nikki Brooker. She is the founder of Yana. It is an organization that is changing the world one mama at a time. Inspired by tragedies that happened in her own community, she started this organization to support moms, and the work she is doing is beyond incredible. The amount of work and passion that she puts into this organization is truly inspiring. So, we're going to hear about how this organization formed, what it's doing in the local hospitals where she lives, and how she is truly making a difference in this world. So, stay tuned for this very inspiring conversation. Nikki, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so blessed to be here.
I'm very excited to talk to you because I think you are doing something incredible for moms. So let's dive in. Let's hear from it. So before we talk about your organization and everything you're doing, can you just walk us back and tell us when you became a mom and what that experience was like for you?
Absolutely. I never get to talk about my mamahood journey, so that's exciting. Yes, I was married at the age of 20 to my middle school sweetheart. We're still together.
Oh,
This year is 30 years. We've been married,
oh,
38 years
congratulations.
together. Yes, thank you.
Love that.
I've been with him since I was 12 and he was 15. So we have literally been through it all.
Yes.
And so we had our first baby in the year 2000. And we were living in Colorado and we had no family and tons of friends, but nobody who had kids. And so we were literally on our own. We were on an island. And I was like, wow, this is fun. I don't know how to be a mom by myself like this. And I'm an extrovert. So being alone in the house, like I renovated the entire house. I repainted everything because I was like, I got to have something to do while she's sleeping.
Yes.
And I was a teacher, taught for over 20 years. And so, so that was number one. And then number two came along in 2003 in the middle of the biggest snowstorm in the history of Colorado, where we were literally snowed into the hospital and they wouldn't let us leave. It was insane. So then after having baby number two, I was like, okay, now I really can't do this by myself. Like this is hard. And so we actually picked up and moved across the country. To be closer to family. Yeah. So we're both from Northern Michigan. We're living in Colorado and we said, let's go home. So we couldn't, my husband's in aerospace engineering. And so there was no aerospace in Michigan. And so we got closer, but we ended up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. A little bit
kind
closer.
Kind of funny. Yeah. A little closer, but also not because you're still quite a drive away from family. But what it gave us was the ability for, number one, me to stay home. I didn't work while I was in Ohio because the cost of living was so much less. And so my husband worked and I got to be at home with the kids and I engulfed myself into the community there. And it was so many stay-at-home moms and so many groups. And there was a preschool parents club with over 250 moms in it.
That's
I remember
amazing.
walking into my very first thing in a gymnasium of an elementary school and literally bursting into tears and being like, oh, I found my people.
Wow.
I found it. I found what motherhood should look like. Like, oh my God, it was like changed my everything. Right. And it's interesting because my kids are now 24, 22, and 18. And now, so we had our third baby. And the great story about that is if you know anything about Michigan and Ohio, they don't love each other when it comes to sports. And especially the college sports.
Yep.
So my husband went to Michigan and it was hard for him to live in Ohio, I will tell you. And then we had our third baby and we were at a party and friends of ours said, oh, look, now you got yourself a little Buckeye. And my husband looked at me and said, put the house on the market. We're out of here. And we literally moved back to Colorado 30 days later because he was like, I will not have a Buckeye. I will not have a Buckeye.
He's a diehard.
Oh, you have no idea. So that was the end of that. And so then when our son was born, we moved back to Colorado in 2007, just 3 months after he was born. And so when he was old enough to talk and people say, well, where are you from? He was like, I'm from a state I can't say. So I think I'm from Colorado.
Oh,
my
that's
husband
hilarious.
Was like, no. So,
well, my husband would very much agree with you.
Good.
He is a Michigan fan. Yep.
Oh, awesome. Love that.
So I've heard a lot about the dislike of the Buckeyes.
The dislike. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How was it? Okay, so moving back to Colorado, were you able
Yeah.
to find the same community there?
So funny, we moved to a different part of same area, but different.
Mm-hmm.
And so we moved to a place that's called Highlands Ranch, which has
Oh,
4 rec centers,
okay.
tons of families. We moved in. I remember finding the house, and we had, some things we really wanted. We wanted to be on a cul-de-sac. We wanted to open that back to open space.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted a 3-car garage. Like 4 bedrooms, like all of these things, right? And we walked into this one, and it was in a cul-de-sac. And I remember going to see the house, and there being kids everywhere in the cul-de-sac.
Dream.
And I was like, I don't
This is
even
our
care what
home.
the inside of this house looks like. We
This.
are moving here.
Oh, that's
And
fantastic.
when I moved to that cul-de-sac, we had 24 children living on that cul-de-sac. It was like we hit the
Heaven.
lottery. It was amazing.
Oh,
And yes, we found our community. We found Highlands Ranch turned out to be a phenomenal place to raise our kids, and schools and rec centers and groups. And it was amazing. And I went back to teaching, and it was good.
oh,
I'm
that's
so glad we
amazing.
made that choice.
Right. Okay, I
Yeah.
can totally attest. So we do have a good amount of kids on our block, which has, especially during the pandemic, that was huge.
Yep.
Because they weren't going to school. So the fact that they could like at least be
Yeah.
with their neighbors
See,
and we
yeah.
could be with our neighbors. We used to have 5 boys that lived literally across the street from us.
Oh,
And my son, they would pick up little baseball games in the front yard. Like it was so cute to
yep.
see that. I loved that. They've since moved. And I was so sad.
Uh,
So sad. But like having that in your neighborhood is huge.
It really is.
So
Yeah,
huge.
especially in the summers. And it was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It was a really, my kids talk about it now to this day. Like, we had the best childhood.
Oh,
We had kids, we had friends, we had things to do. It was amazing.
that's great. What would you say to people that don't have that?
Oh, go find it. Go find it. Now, I'm not saying go move into a different house, which
Right.
maybe if that
Pack your
works, that
kids,
works,
go
right?
cross
Pack them up and
country.
move, right? But I will say, and that is one of my biggest, that will be my life legacy, is go find your people. And sometimes those people have to change, and that's okay. I think that we get stuck in, well, these are my people, and these always have been my people. And that's great if you're all going through the same things at the same time. Like,
Yes.
that was the big issue with us, is we had this great group of friends, coworkers and friends and community when we had our kids, but none of them had kids. And it was like, oh, this is not the same. Like, it's not.
Mhm.
So then we had to find new people. Not to say that those people weren't always going to be a part of our lives, but
Right.
you have to go. And there's that saying, there's a reason and a season that everybody's
Mhm.
in your life. Oh my gosh, like that is so true, especially in motherhood. Like, there is a reason and a season, and the people that you had when your babies were little might not be the same people you have when you have teenagers, but it might be. And you
Right.
might come back together after, who
Right.
knows,
I
right?
love
But
that.
find your people, find
Right.
your people, because parenthood should never be done on an island. It should never be in silos. It should never be alone. It truly
Mhm.
takes a village, and it's not just a village for the kids, people. It is a village for the parents. Like, it is
Right.
about mom support. And so I've kind of created that kind of everywhere I've gone. So when we did move to Ohio, I was talking, it was funny. We moved in Thanksgiving weekend. And if you know anything about Ohio, like, that is the grayest, most cold, nasty time. Nobody comes out of their homes. And I was losing it. I was like, I need to meet people. And so it
Yes.
wasn't until March when everything starts to kind of like melt and the
Melt.
sun comes out, right? And so I remember being in my house, and I looked out in the backyard, and there were 3 women standing out there. And I was like, get your snow stuff on. We're going outside. I was so excited to go meet somebody. So I went running out in the backyard and introduced myself, and I was so excited to talk to people. And they all had their kids out, and my kids came out to play. And we started talking, and I said, oh my gosh, I need to get involved in groups and mommy things. And they said, oh, well, we have a babysitting co-op. And I was like, you
Oh,
said what?
that's
What?
incredible.
And so I went to this babysitting co-op, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. The problem was that babysitting co-op had been going on for 10 years. So all of those moms knew each other. They all had older kids. They all were, and I was like, I have littles. Like, I need to start a new one. So I
Yeah.
asked, can I start a chapter? And they were like, heck yeah, you can. So I started a second chapter of that babysitting co-op. That babysitting co-op went until, that was from 2003 until the pandemic. I think it died over
Wow.
the pandemic.
So
But
was
it was
it
like,
you watched other people's kid, like, I'm
so
gonna watch your
everybody
kids
watches
today,
each
we'll
other's
swap.
kids. Yep. And you swap
Heaven.
coupons instead of money. I never in my life have paid for a
Huge.
babysitter.
That is
Never.
So brilliant. I have actually
Yeah.
never heard of that, but
Oh
that
my
is
gosh.
brilliant.
Life changing. And
Especially in
these
the
were my best friends.
summertime.
These were my best friends. These women you have a meeting. It's very structured. It has like
Mhm.
a president and it has structure to it, which is funny because a lot of people I talk to say, oh, yeah, we had one of those. It didn't last. I'm like, right, because you didn't have the structure. Like you didn't
Yeah.
have the jobs and the responsibilities and blah, blah, blah. If you put it together, and I actually have it all figured out. It's on my Etsy site, funny enough, where you can like buy the whole kit and start your own and we'll help you. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
I need the
So,
link.
yeah.
I love that. That's
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
amazing. So anyway,
Wow.
I started that in Ohio and then I moved back to Colorado and then I started one here in Colorado, which also just passed. It just ended over the pandemic, but it went from 2007 until the pandemic where moms just, you trade coupons for babysitting. It's amazing. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, I started both those groups and then I started Yana.
Okay, so let's hear about that because I can kind of see where your foundation in mom groups happened. So how
Yep.
did you start Yana? What inspired you to do that?
So I was a teacher for over 20 years. I was here in Colorado in Highlands Ranch, and I had been teaching in the projects of North Denver up in Pecos and I-70, and it was rough. It was kind of destroying my family. And my 16-year-old at the time, I would tell them, oh, you guys have no idea how lucky you are. You live in this charmed life. I'm literally putting food in the backpacks of these kids or they won't eat over the weekends. Like, you don't get it. And so after 4 years of this, my 16-year-old says to me, so let me get this straight. You created this life for us, and now you're mad at us. We have it. I was like, oh, yeah, she's graduating from law school this year, if that tells you anything. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, my husband's like, I think you need to quit your job. I said, I think I need to quit my job. So I quit my job, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but stay in education because I'd been a teacher forever, have a master's.
Mhm.
My son said, can you come teach at my school? Well, he was at the elementary school that all three of my kids went to. I was very, very ingrained into that school. And I was like, what if I subbed? And he's like, I don't care. I just want you in the building. I was like, all right.
I
So
love that he
I was
wanted
subbing there.
you.
I
That's
know, right?
awesome.
Like a
My
fourth
my
grader who
oldest,
wants their mom around. Yeah.
right. My oldest, I have the option to help with the art lessons every couple months. And I'm like, do you want me to come to your classroom? He's like, no, mom, you'll embarrass me.
Ah, yeah. He's always
We're
been
there.
a mama's boy,
Oh,
and
that's
I'm
sweet.
very happy about that.
Hmm.
So yeah. So okay, so then I went to the principal, and so the principal called me actually November of 2016. She called me and said, hey, I need you in the building tomorrow. I was like, well, that's weird. Who am I subbing for? And she's like, nope, I'll tell you tomorrow. Okay. So
Huh.
when we got there, they put us all into a room and they told us that Jennifer Labor had picked up her 3-year-old and her 5-year-old from our school the day before. She drove behind a building and she shot and killed both of her kids and herself in the family minivan.
Oh my
And they
gosh.
said, we have
So
these
a
subs
family
here who
from your
are,
school.
Mhm. Yep. And I
Wow.
didn't know her and I didn't know her kids.
Hmm.
But they said, we have these subs here who are just here to help. So my job was to just go check in on teachers, check in on kids, make sure everybody had the support they needed. They set up a whole counseling center, everything.
Hmm.
So the 6th grade boy walked in from the outside mobile buildings and he was sobbing. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, buddy, what's up? And he said, Ethan was my reading buddy. How am
Oh,
I supposed to be okay with the fact that his mom murdered him? I
oh.
said, honey, you're not supposed to be okay with that. And as I walked
Mhm.
into the counseling center, he looked me right in the eye and he said, how do I know my mom's not going to kill me tonight?
Oh my gosh.
That changed me in a lot. I still tear up thinking about it. It
Right.
changed me in so many ways. It changed me as a mom and as a teacher and as a human, that this ripple effect of Jennifer's struggles will
Hmm.
reach hundreds of people, like thousands of people. It's not just a family of 4. This ripple
Right.
effect is huge. So then I went to the kindergarten classroom and they were making pictures. And I said, what are you guys doing? And this sweet little girl says, well, our friend Ethan's dead. His brother's dead. His mom's dead, but his dad's not dead. So we're making him these pictures to make him happy.
Oh
And
my
I was like,
gosh.
so your core kindergarten memory is this for your rest of your life. Like, that's
Right.
not okay.
Hmm.
So then fast forward only 2 months later, we had a second mom take her life and the life of her 10-year-old daughter in our community. And
Wow.
that little girl was best friends with my girlfriend's daughter. So then I saw it from that
Really
side of
hit
it with this
home.
little 10-year-old I'd known her whole life who said, Mommy, I don't think I'll ever trust anybody ever again. Like this is that what just happened. My best friend is gone. And I thought of that mom as the second mom. Like,
I
how do I
knew
just,
her.
I
Yeah.
knew her. And that little girl struggled. And that's when I threw my hands in the air and I said, for the love of God, I cannot open the news or hear the news and see this ever again. I can't see this.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do this again. So what are we going to do? We're going to have to do something. So I put it out on my personal Facebook page. And I was like, all right, let's just see if we can support moms. Let's see if what we can do, right?
Yeah.
And so we thought, well, I put it up there. A bunch of my friends said, hey, let's start a support group. Hey, let's start a nonprofit. I'll tell you what, Katie, I didn't even know what a nonprofit was. I was like, I know they go off and do good things in the world. That's about all I got. Like, I don't know what it is. And so I was like, I heard of it. Exactly. So I was like, all right, sure.
Don't know how to start one, but
I could not have even given you step one, right? And so this woman, a friend of mine, was opening an all women's gym in our community. And it was a friend of mine on Facebook. She's like, oh my gosh, let's work together. And I was like, great, what's that mean? And she's like, well, when I'm not using the gym, you can have it. I was like, okay. So we had a location. I was like, step one, location. So then she's like, come speak at my grand opening. And I was like, Dina, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. And she's like, it doesn't matter. Just come speak. I was like, okay. So I went in and I gave a spiel in front of 150 people. And I said, hey, I just want to do something to help moms. If you know anything, come talk to me. And this woman walked up to me and said, hey, have you started the paperwork for the 501c3 yet? And I was like, funny you should say that. Yeah, right? Funny you should say that. I said, I just sat down with the book Nonprofits for Dummies. And after 3 hours, I was in tears. And my husband came and said, what's the matter? And I was like, I have a master's degree and I have no idea what step one is. Like, I don't even know what to do. And she said, oh, that's awesome. You can just throw that book in the trash because I'm going to hand you my nonprofit. I said, come again? She's like, I have a 10-year-old nonprofit. It's been sitting dormant for 2 years, great condition with the Secretary of State and the IRS. And I just said to my husband the other day, somebody needs to do good in this world and we need to hand this to them. Right?
So like the stars just let you put it out there.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And then she goes, oh, and we have $1,500 in the bank. You can have that too. So literally within 10 days of me putting it on my Facebook page, I had a location, a 501c3 and $1,500. Still didn't know what the heck I was doing. But I was like,
I don't think you needed to.
Here we go.
It was there. Someone was telling you, get this thing started.
The universe was telling me, it's all right here. Just go make it work. So we did. And then we started off, our first program was based on the AA model. So we had gatherings and play dates at that gym where moms, any mom, didn't matter where you were in your mamahood journey, just come and talk to other moms. So it's every week at the same time, at the same place, and any mom could come. It was a free time to them to just come. And the kids got to play and run around, and the moms just got to connect with each other. And then we offered any mom who wanted one a support mom. And a support mom is like a sponsor in AA. It's just another mom who can say, I've been there. Because especially in Colorado, over 70% of moms who give birth in the state of Colorado are not native to Colorado.
Oh, interesting.
They're not, nobody's from here.
So most likely don't have family, probably don't have a big friend group yet.
Nope, that was me, right? It was me. And so that's why we said, well, we've got to start this. We got to give this to them. So that's how we started in April of 2017, 8 years ago. And then the pandemic hit. And we did that with hundreds of moms and we supported hundreds of moms. But then pandemic hit. We couldn't have the in-person gatherings anymore. And if you don't have the in-person gatherings, it's hard to get people matched. And I was like, okay, something's got to give. We got to do something different. So then over the pandemic, I did a bunch of research on what other countries do to support their moms and went, well, I'll be damned. That's a lot more than we do.
A lot out there, right?
Holy cow.
What are some things other countries are doing that we're not?
In Europe, they automatically give you pelvic floor physical therapy after you have a baby. Automatically. So like here, where you have a knee surgery or a hip surgery or shoulder surgery, what do you get? You get PT. But if you have a baby and you're sliced from pube bone to pube bone, and that is the most invasive surgery you can have because it's the most layers you cut through, you get nothing.
Nothing.
And if you push something out the size of a golf ball, you get nothing.
Nothing.
That's ridiculous. Right.
Okay, and do you know, I didn't even know what pelvic floor therapy was until I had my third. So it's like, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yep.
And I still have to ask the doctor and get a referral and find one.
Yep, you sure do. And it's just handed to you in Europe. In Canada, they send a doula to your house to help you with your laundry
Oh
every
my
day or every
gosh.
week for 6 weeks. Like,
What a
what?
difference that would make. What a
Can you
difference.
imagine? Can you imagine?
Hmm.
So, and when I did all that research, I was like, okay, well, the US is behind in a lot of things, but this one's really behind. So, what if we gave moms the support they deserve? What if we support the people who create the people? Don't
Yes.
all the people win? Doesn't everybody win if you support people who moms? If you support moms, everybody wins. So
Yes.
that's when I was like, okay, we're going to start a new program, and that's called Strong Mamas Thriving Babies. And that program is a hospital program where every single mom who gives birth at one of our participating hospitals is given a full year of wraparound support for free.
Wow. Okay, what's included in that?
So what's included? We walk into every single hospital room and present the program one-on-one, face-to-face to every single mom. So it is a, look, mama, you matter. Like, you gave birth and that baby's really important and we're so happy for you, but you're also a human and you matter. So we give them that one-on-one, face-to-face. We take in our tablet and we register them right there on the spot if they say yes. That means they don't lift a finger. We do it all for them. So the first part is when they leave the hospital, they get an app. The app is our app on the App Store that is just for the moms in our program. We vet
Wow.
every single mom who registers for that app so that it's just our mamas. That's a place for them to chat with each other, plan play dates. There's a calendar of events.
Oh,
There's discussion rooms. It's a safe online space just to be with the moms in our program. The
wow.
next part are in-person gatherings that we have every single week at every hospital we're at. So right now we are in 3 hospitals. We have 3 in-person gatherings a week. We literally hand them a village of moms, all in messy buns and yoga pants, and we say, well, you're all going through the same things at the same time. Let's talk about it. And we
Wow.
do. We shut the doors and we say, listen, CPS is not waiting to take your kids. We are here as moms. Say the thing. This is your space, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we just give them the top. We talk about your win for the week. We talk about your challenge for the week. We talk about what do you need help with? Are there resources you need? Are you feeling like you could use some additional mental health? Are you thinking you need pelvic floor? So we talk about all of those things. And then the second half of those gatherings, we bring in community experts who give moms tips and tricks on mamahood. So we bring in a pelvic floor physical therapist who says, hey, she brings a model of the pelvis and she says, this is what your pelvis looks like. And this is what
What it
happened to
does.
it. And now you got to try to put it back together. And this is how you can be doing that. These are the exercises. It's an expert in the room giving them advice. And then
Wow.
they say, here's some things that you might need some additional help with. If you're leaking, if you're whatever, these are the
Mm-hmm.
things that we can help you with if you want to come see us. But it's never a selling. We never sell to our moms. It is just resources. We bring in the county, we bring in developmental pathways, we bring in the libraries, we bring in mental health, we bring in um, sleep experts. Whew, buddy, sleep
That's a
experts.
big
And
one.
then big one, that one in breastfeeding. And
Mm-hmm.
and then we bring in an infant massage expert. Oh my gosh, this woman is amazing. She comes in and shows you this is not the only way to burp a baby. Like, you can move gas, manipulate it the way that you need
Wow.
to. Like, things that people don't even think about
No.
because they're so tired, they don't have the time to figure it out. And when
Right.
you go down the rabbit hole of Google, Lord help
Mm-hmm.
us all, right? At
Watching
some
all those
point,
videos,
oh my
doing all
gosh,
those groups.
oh
Yes.
no. So we give them that. And then the last part of our program are text messages and phone calls that come throughout the full year of motherhood, the first full year, that are from another mom. So another mom picks up the phone and says, hey, how you doing? How are you struggling? How
Wow.
can we support you? I'll say probably 7 to 8 times out of 10 we get voicemail on those because people don't answer the phone
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But we leave a message. We have a whole script, and it's just we leave a message and say we're here for you. This is our number. You
Right.
can call or text us anytime. We're here for you. So it's just giving them that online, in person, and on the phone connections that they wouldn't have otherwise. That they go home
Mm-hmm.
to their homes in their silos and try to do this parenting thing by themselves.
Right.
Doesn't
I
doesn't
think
have to be that way.
what I love the most is that you go to their hospital room and you tell them about it in person, but you're also making it aware that this might be a little difficult or there
Yeah.
might be challenge. Not that there's going to be, but like had someone told me when I was in the hospital room, like, hey, if things feel hard, there is support. Because I went in thinking, I'm 33. I, you know, I did my preparing. I know how to do this. And then I got home and I realized this is so much harder than I thought. And I
Yep.
feel like a failure. And I did not
Yep.
know I was going to feel this way. So, like, if someone
100%.
had told me in the hospital, like, hey, look, if you need any help, you need someone to talk to. Because I was the kind of mom where I also was an extrovert and I kind of needed like a group, but I was living an hour and a half away from my family and friends. We were kind of in a newer city and I didn't know where to look. And I did not expect myself to, I didn't expect it to be so hard.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. And as somebody who babysat from the age of 12, like I have always
I'm good with
loved
kids.
babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm great with kids. I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Like, come
I
on,
was a
right?
teacher. I'm going to be great
Yeah,
at this.
I'm going to be great at this. And am I great at this? I don't know that I'm any better than anybody else. But I will say that not having the support from the beginning was so hard on me. And
Mhm.
I didn't even know what I didn't know. I didn't know what
Yep.
I needed. I didn't
That's what,
know
yeah.
that having other moms made a difference until I met them in
Yeah.
Ohio, where then I could be, when it was our neighborhood, right? And we all kind of came together. And my husband would come home from work and it would be like 5 women and 30 kids. And he'd be like, okay, all right, another night of, all right, yeah. And I was like, these are my people. Like
But
it
that
was
sounds like
magical.
heaven. That sounds
Yep,
like heaven to
it
me.
was.
And it's
It was
so
amazing.
hard to find that.
Yep, it really is. It really is hard to find that. And when you, and then the whole, like you said, like there are things that happen that you're like, is this normal? Should I be feeling this way? Should I
Hmm.
think that? Should I
Yeah.
have an intrusive thought? Oh my God, that's horrible. And I'll tell you, it took me until I started this program to realize that intrusive thoughts are absolutely normal and happen to 99.9% of women, but nobody talks about it
No,
because they're scared that they're
gonna be
crazy,
judged.
or I'm going to be judged,
Hmm.
or you're going to take my kids away, or oh my gosh, I'm a horrible parent because I had these thoughts. And it wasn't until I started this group that I was talking to a mental health professional and we were talking about it. And I said, you know, mom mentioned that maybe we should talk about intrusive thoughts, but I'm not sure. And she's like, you absolutely should talk about it. And I was like, why? And she's like, because they're normal. I'm like, oh, tell me more. And
Love
she's like,
it.
I said, oh my God, I had one. And she's like, yeah, if you open up the door and say, I had one too, because they all look up to you like you're, you know, something special, then they'll feel okay to talk about it. So we do. We talk about intrusive thoughts at our in-person gatherings where I'm like, I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours. And they're like, wait, you had one? I'm like,
Yes.
because they're normal. And so we talk about, and then I talk about, but it's not normal when you're having them all the time, every day. You're standing at the top of the stairs thinking about throwing the baby down the
Hmm.
stairs. That's when we got to get you some help. But if it's one
Right.
of those thoughts that just kind of flies through your head and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just had that thought. I can't believe that just happened. Totally normal.
Right. But then in the fact that, hey, if you are having those thoughts excessively, there is help for that.
Yes.
Where some
Yes.
most moms just kind of suffer alone, like, what's wrong with me? Until they kind of come out of it at some point 3 years later. It's like, oh, I could have
Yep.
gotten help
I
then.
could have gotten help. And why did I suffer alone? You do not
Right.
have to suffer alone. There are so many other moms who are sitting in their houses feeling the exact same way you are.
Hmm.
Yep.
And there's so much different levels of support. So for someone who's like
For
an
sure.
introvert, who's
Yep.
like, oh, those in-person classes, I don't know.
Yep.
Or that new mom who's like, I can't get out of the house. You have the phone calls, you have the
Yep.
messages. Oh my
And
gosh, I
that's the
love that.
idea. The idea was we want it to be full circle for everyone. And do you have to do it all? Heck no. You can do
Hmm.
whatever you want. It's interesting because we also send out a reminder email at the beginning of the week with all of our in-person things. So, hey, don't forget, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. But then at the end of the week, we send a recap of all the resources that came to the in-person gatherings,
Brilliant.
all the things that are going on, so that even if you didn't come, you can still get the resources. We don't want there to be a
Mhm.
barrier to that, right? But it's interesting because we'll have moms who have been we're at 15 months. So for the last 3 months, we've been hitting the 1 years, right? We've had them
Okay.
for a year. We've
Yeah.
had them for a year. And we ask them, in the phone calls, we ask them, like, tell us what's the best part of this program? How can we improve it? What do you need, right? And I have so many moms who say to me, listen, these phone calls have been amazing. No one's asked me how I am in months.
Hmm.
And just knowing somebody cares is all I needed to hear. And so this is what the way I explain it to people is physical health and mental health are so different. And here's how. If I break my arm, I have to go to a medical professional to touch me, to fix me, to cast me, to set the phone, whatever, right? I have to see someone because that's how physical health works. But mental health doesn't work that way. Mental health can work that way, where you want to sit in an office and talk to somebody, or you want to get EMDR, or you want to do red light, or you want to do other things. But what it can also be is a safety net of knowing that it's available to me. Knowing somebody's there to fix my broken arm isn't going to help me.
Right.
Knowing somebody's there if I need it is sometimes all the mental health support moms need.
Right.
And so just giving them that has been, some of these moms have said that's been life-changing for me, to just know that you're there, and then get those emails that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a huge part of our program too, is just being the safety net.
Right. And also just not knowing that I need that. You know, I didn't know that I was going to need help with sleep or with breastfeeding, or if breastfeeding's not working, like help me get through those feelings of now I have to give my kid formula, like knowing other moms have gone through that. Oh
my gosh, we talk about that a lot. We talk about breastfeeding and sleep are probably the two, not just breastfeeding, I would say feeding and sleep are the two biggest. And then the third one is what do you have for husbands, because they're driving me crazy.
I think that's a big topic too, is talking about your marriage. Because I, again, was not prepared for like, whoa, this baby's going to rock our marriage and our relationship and things, and just my own life. Like now my life is different, and I knew I was going to have a baby and things are going to change.
You think you know.
But then when it totally changes and you're like, wait, I can't just go out to dinner tonight. Like we can't just run to the grocery store. I have to, your life is altered. And to 100%. Be able to tell someone, I'm feeling really weird about the fact that my life is different now.
Yep. And that make yourself feel like a terrible mom, because you can love something so much it hurts, and also be frustrated by it at the same time. That is normal, right? And so that's something we talk about a lot, is that the roles in the house change. You cannot do everything. So you have got to say, these are the 100 things I do in a week. Pick 10 of them, because you're going to take that on, because I just can't. And whether it means, keeping track of the groceries or whatever it happens to be, changing the sheets, whatever. But it doesn't have to always be all mom, right? You have to have a partner who does parts and pieces. And here's the thing. They don't know that.
No.
They don't understand. So you have to communicate it. Right. If you don't communicate it and put a list, and physically put a list somewhere, they won't know that it needs to be done. Right. Because you've always done it. So they didn't know you did it, right? They didn't know you changed the sheets every 2 weeks or however often you do, because it just happens. Just magically happens, right? They don't think about that.
That's
a big, exactly. These are the things that if you want to pick from this list that I could take off my list, that would be amazing. Most, I hope, husbands would be like, okay, I mean, does he want to do it? Of course not. Do you want to? No, you don't either. But if it's going to help the marriage, it's going to help the household. I'm telling you that most of them would love that. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons we have so many divorces and separations and things going on in families, is there's a lack of communication there. There's a lack of, I need help. But if you just say the words to your husband, I need help, that is not good enough.
And they don't read our minds. What that means.
Nope.
They can't read our minds. Because so many times I feel like two moms, we like suffer in silence. We're just like, I'm doing it all. Instead of just saying, hey, it'd be really helpful if you got up 10 minutes earlier and helped me get the kids ready or something. And like, I'm the same way with my husband. He 100% would be like, sure, I'll help you. But when I don't ask him or tell him, he's like, he has no idea.
He doesn't know.
He could
They
help.
don't think like we think. They don't. And it's not a slam. It's not a negative.
Absolutely not.
Men can, and it's funny because my master's degree is in adult education and development. And for my master's, for my 18-month program, they said, pick a topic that you want to learn everything there is to know about, because you're going to do your thesis, everything on it. My topic was the difference between the male and the female brain. So I actually give this presentation. I give the presentation to a lot of different places. One of them is the John Elway dealerships here in Denver. Like, I've done it to all the chambers of commerce. Like, it's kind of life-changing when you understand the physiology behind it. The biggest revelation is the corpus callosum is the bridge in the middle of your brain that allows your left and right hemispheres to talk to each other. It's literally a bridge. A male's corpus callosum is a third the size of a female's. And what that means is they are physiologically improbable to be able to multitask. They can be taught, they can be trained. Anybody can be trained to do anything, but it doesn't come naturally to them. So when we're like doing 12 things and they're doing one, that's because what they can do, their master power is laser focusing on one thing at a time. I wish I could laser focus on one thing at a time. That's not how our brains work, right? But we're all, as humans, we are pretty egocentric. We think that people think the way we think, they see the way we see, they hear the way we hear. They sure don't.
They don't.
And especially men, they don't. And so sometimes we have to say, hey, I know you probably didn't notice this, and I don't mean that as a slam because it's just not in your realm. But did you notice that the bathtub could use a cleaning, and I just don't have it. I can't bend over. I can't do. Could you maybe do that for me? Like, could you help me out?
Right. Because
Right,
there's a way to do it without being naggy.
right.
And hey, I just need a little help. Could you do
Yep.
that? My husband and I, now we have this like code word where we've learned now if something's kind of like bugging us about the other one, we say, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?"
Yep.
And for me,
Yep.
it's like the dishes in the sink. I'm
Uh
like,
huh.
and for him, he's very neat and tidy. So he's like, "Hey, those clothes that have been sitting out for a week or two?" He's like, "Could we maybe put those away?" But it's
Put
always
this
like,
away.
"Can I talk to you about something?" Is kind of code word for, "Hey, I'm going
Yep.
to tell you something that's kind of bugging me, but I don't
Yep.
want to come across as like naggy." So
Yep.
we've
Love
learned to
that.
say it that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love that.
Okay. How do you afford all of this? Because it's parent
Well,
moms don't have to pay for this, which
it's
like
free for
in
moms.
any other
Yep.
organization, this would cost a fortune. So how is this
So
affordable?
grant funding, the hospitals are putting in. So we did, the first year was at no cost to the hospitals because we got a suicide prevention grant through our county.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
funny. I just came. The reason I was almost late was I was just being awarded from the county commissioners into their county hall of fame because thank
Congratulations.
you. So I will say we've been very, very wrapped in love by Douglas County.
Mm,
Our commissioners put together a suicide prevention grant, and we were awarded money from that for 2023 and 2024. So I could walk into these three hospitals and say, no
you
cost
got
to
it.
you. Here we go. But 2025 is on your dime. And so then I went back to the commissioners and I asked for more money. They gave me half of what I asked for, but they gave me some more money.
Okay.
And so what I did was I split that amongst the three hospitals. So the hospital's costs for 2025 came down exponentially as well. So I will say our entire program to give a mom a full year of wraparound support costs $60. Not 60
Wow.
bucks a month, $60 total for an entire year of wraparound support.
That
That
the
includes
mom
everything.
pays for or that
That's what the
wow.
hospitals and the grant are paying for.
Oh my
So right
gosh.
now we are grant funded. We are looking for hospitals
Yep.
and it can come from their foundation. It can come from fundraising. It can come from a gala. I don't care where the money comes from.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that this program is making generational mental health change by giving the people what they deserve
Right.
and giving moms and families what they deserve. And so when you give moms that, it changes the entire. I mean, there's a saying that says, "When mama ain't happy, nobody's happy," right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we're funding it right now. We are looking to diversify our funding sources. We are looking for other ways to fund this, whether it's corporate sponsorships, whether it's giving, whatever it happens to be. We are trying to expand because what I'd love to say to a hospital is, hey, the cost of this is $60 a mom. You have an average of 100 births a month. So that's 1,200 births a year. Because of this funding source and this funding source, we brought it down to $30 a mom, and that's all you have to pay. That's what I want to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we are constantly looking for grants. We are constantly grant writing and looking for corporate sponsorships and, legacy giving and all of the different ways that we can fund this so that it's not all on the hospitals. We are also looking to figure out how we can become a billable service through the hospital. So peer support through Medicaid is
Okay.
finally being addressed as a billable
Any.
source.
Mm-hmm.
Available, yeah. And so, but we can't do it because I don't hold a medical license. So I can't be,
Got
so, but
it.
the
Oh my
hospitals
gosh, so
can,
much you're
right?
learning
Oh,
about.
and then keep
This
it,
was not
it's
in your
so funny.
teacher's degree.
This is none of this. And let me tell you, I thought government had a lot of red tape. Hospital systems,
Oh,
holy moly, the tape is thick. And
right.
every hospital is different in how they do things, every system. So, for instance, we're with Advent Health. Advent Health runs by the Adventist religious calendar. Therefore, you cannot have an event from Friday sundown to Sunday sunup because that's their Sabbath.
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
know that.
Did not
Then
know.
you
No.
go to Common Spirit. They're Catholic, can't do anything on Sundays because that's their Sabbath. I'm like, oh, and then we're at UC Health Highlands, UC Health, which is the University of Colorado, which is a school, so it's a teaching college, so they have their own rules and
Oh my
regulations. I'm
gosh.
telling you, I had no idea. And so
Oh
I'm
my
learning
gosh.
as I go of how to and then some are nonprofit, some are for profit. That's a whole nother ballgame. So it's
Mm-hmm.
been a very big learning
Adventure.
curve for me. Yeah, adventure is a good
So
word.
adding another hospital, that's a big undertaking then. Because I could
It
see
is.
like, why can't we have this nationwide? Because you're right now just in one county, in one state. How do we make this like grow?
So honestly, the only way it becomes nationwide is if the government gets involved and mandates it. And that's because of HIPAA, and every state has their own
Uh-huh.
HIPAA. Yes, we have national HIPAA, but then we have other HIPAA.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. And then every hospital system is different, yada, 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 yada. So nationwide would be amazing. I don't think it's doable, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
But statewide here in Colorado, I think is doable. There are 25 major birthing hospitals from north of Denver to south of Denver, and we want to be in all 25. We got 3 down, 22 to go.
Love it.
And
So
we
that's your
do
goal.
believe in it.
You're
That's our goal
spreading.
right now. Yep.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, that's
And Colorado
incredible.
Springs. They're adding Colorado Springs onto my map. So possibly down Colorado Springs as well. So, we've had some
Perfect.
amazing conversations with some fabulous hospital systems. There's just a lot of hoops to jump. You got to get through contracts. You got to get through all the
Oh
HIPAA
yeah.
stuff. You got to get through badging. That's another thing. You have to get badged in every hospital. They all do it differently. There's just a lot. It's a lot, but
That's
I'll fight the fight until we get every mom the support.
right. It's just so amazing that despite everything you have to go through, you're taking this on. Because a lot of people would be like, this is just too much. I give up, but you're like, no.
I'm not going to lie. 5.5 years, I went without a paycheck. So
Mhm.
I paid into this for 5.5 years. And everybody I talked to who started a nonprofit said 5 years. It takes 5 years to
Okay.
get funded. And I was like, you don't know me. Yeah, it was exactly 5.5 years. They were right. And that's when we got our first big grant and our first big donation. And so that was when, and I, my husband has been my number one champion from the beginning of
Oh,
this.
love it.
And he said, go do good. It's all right. You're not
Mhm.
pulling a paycheck. We'll figure it out. And then, he's like, well, you were a teacher. You barely made anything then either. So now you're really not making anything. Right. So,
Oh,
it's been, but there have been many times all along that road that I'd be like, okay, we just got to get to this point. And if
so
we don't get to that
close.
point, we don't get that done, then I'm just going to have to walk away. And then we
Mm-hmm.
get that done. And then the
Oh,
next, okay, here we go. We're going to try, so
oh my God, I love
it was
that.
meant to
Oh my
be.
gosh. I was just telling my husband yesterday, I just got like a letter about taxes and stuff. And I was like, I think I just want to quit, like trying to
Uh-huh.
start this podcast because I left teaching and now I'm trying to do this
Yep.
potty training thing. And like, I just need to give up. He's like, don't give up yet. I'm like, okay, just keep going one more day. And then you get that email that you're like,
Yep.
okay, that's right. Don't give up. Or mom who
Yep.
sends you like, this was so helpful. Thank you. You're like, don't give up.
Don't give up.
It's
Don't
like
give
these
up.
moms need you.
Moms
Okay.
deserve it.
Question about the name. Where did the name Yana come from?
I created it. You are not alone. So
Okay.
it stands for You Are Not Alone. And then I tried to get the company name, like actually put it in as Yana, and there were so many Yanas, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes,
I've never
so
heard that
many
before.
that I
Okay.
couldn't use it. And so
Mm-hmm.
our actual business name is Yana M2M, which stands for You Are Not Alone Mom to Mom.
Love that. Oh my
But we
gosh.
do mostly everything's Yana.
Right. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're expanding to other hospitals. It's growing. Okay, another question I had thinking of this. So when you were inspired to start this, it was because of moms who had older kids. So right now you're working with moms with babies 1 and under, basically. Do you ever have
Yes.
options? Because when you first started, you just said all moms come. Do
Oh,
you have
mom. Yep.
any options for moms who have kids that are older?
Yeah. So thank you for asking that. So Yana as a nonprofit, we have 3 pillars of support is what we call them. The first one is obviously the hospital program, which is our biggest one, Strong Mamas, Thriving Babies. That's our biggest program. But we also have a podcast where we interview mamas about their mama journey, right? Because we know the more moms tell their story, the less alone they are. And the more that, mamas hear each other's stories, the less alone they are. So we do have the podcast, and we've been doing that. We're going on almost year 4. And then the last program, we kept that very first beginning program where we had support moms. We kept that. And because we got a lot of feedback that moms really liked that. So we still match moms with a support mom. That program, we're switching it over to an app here soon. I'm running out of hours in the day, number one. But number two, we want the moms to be able to pick their own support mom. So they will go onto the app and they will pick a support mom that fits what they're looking for. So that's a really cool program that we're going to get started. We've been doing the support mom program all 8 years. We've never gotten rid of it. And that's been amazing. So and that can be done virtually, right? Support moms don't have to be in person. Right. It can be done virtually. So if anybody wants to be a support mom, we absolutely need support moms. If anybody wants to volunteer to make those phone calls through the Strong Mamas program, where we call mamas up and check in on them, we have a full, you can do that anywhere in the world. We have a full online training that you go through. We give you a phone number. So it's not coming from your phone number, it's coming from ours. We give you all of the training for it. We give you a script. We give you everything you need. The only thing we ask in return is that you say that you will do 3 hours or more a month. And only because there is some cost to us getting you your own line for the training, all that kind of stuff. So we are investing in you to be a volunteer for us. So we just need 3 hours a month. And it doesn't have to be 3 consecutive hours. It can be 20 minutes here, a half an hour here, an hour here, whenever works. And like I said, a lot of times you just get voicemails. And so you leave a message and then you move on to the next one. We have a system where you keep track. We give you a list and we just let you start making calls. And so that's a way that people can get involved as well. So it's interesting because the support mom program truly is supportive for both sides, right? I have mamas who come back to me and say, oh my gosh, I've been an empty nester and I signed up to be a support mom, and somebody cares what I have to say again. And it has been so rewarding to give back to this other mom and just help. And we've had moms who celebrated Christmas together because they've gotten so close. Oh. We have support moms who babysit for other moms because they live in the same area. But then it's just also just having that safety net of somebody that you can turn to when you're having a hard time. And so that support mom program is open to anyone who wants to be a support mom as well.
I love that. Okay. If we want to find all this information, where do we look?
Yep. You go to yanamom.com. Our website is yanamom.com. There's a Get Involved tab. You can go there and see all the different ways that you can get involved. Our podcast is there as well. You can learn all about there's a video on the very front page of me doing a presentation, and it's a 10-minute video. It's a long one, but it's the whole story. And I was presenting at an event. So there's lots of opportunities on that website to find what you're looking for. You can volunteer to help. If you're looking for a support mom, you can sign up for one. So yeah, that's where you can find us, yanamom.com.
Love it. Well, thank you for not only being on this podcast, but for everything you're doing, for not giving up, and for supporting moms.
Thank you, Katie. I really appreciate that.
Special thanks to Nikki for all she's doing and for coming on this podcast and sharing her story. If you want to get involved or learn more about her organization, make sure to take a look at the link in the show notes to get involved with such an incredible place. All right. And until next week's Momversation, I want to remind all of you moms that everyone burns their first pancakes, so just keep flipping.